All right. I have some things happening here. So our next week is our last week. I don't know if you want to continue, but so this is
Oh,
week 5 of 6.
oh, actually. Oh, it went by so fast.
It did go by fast. So we'll talk about some ways that things I think will help you continuing.
Yeah.
I'd love to continue working with you, and then I think that what we're doing here, I found a
Yeah, I
lot
think
of
I'm
cool.
continuing.
You are?
Yeah.
Yeah. I found a lot of cool tools in ReadWorks, and I'll show you kind of some of it because I think it might be a good place for us during the summer. And I kind of showed you this already, but let me do something here. Yeah, for some reason this didn't get assigned. I think it got assigned to the wrong class, but let me go in. All right, so it's going to go to tutoring students. I don't know what step read is, but we'll take a look at that. Um, okay, well let's look at these slides here. And today, um, so actually it's not Friday. I put the wrong day there. So we're going to work on building comprehension for the Empire State Building article. And I know that we made predictions and things that we noticed. And I think it's really important to do that as you're reading to process and create that Velcro. And so a couple ways that we create Velcro, and Velcro is important because this is our brain here, our mind and our thoughts is half of the Velcro, right? So we're creating that as we engage with predictions and as we process and do other active reading strategies. But we can also do that while we're in the passage itself. Um, Now, it's okay to not try to make too many connections, but there is the connection we make to the information, to other texts. That's one connection. The other connection is to ourselves, and the other connection is to um, the world. Okay. All right. So we're going to look at the comprehension questions today, and we'll also have some time to talk about anything you want to work on for school because I know you have about 2.5 weeks left. All right.
Okay.
So read. Yeah. Go ahead.
Huh?
Yeah. Did you say something?
Oh no.
Okay. All right. So just a quick check in, and then read and react. We'll finish this article. We'll try to finish as quickly as possible. Um, we'll take the quiz and then go over any questions. Um, and then we'll see if we have any time for either vocabulary development or anything that you want to show me and that we can work on. So let's go with that. Um, all right. We were here. So we had the introduction today, the new in the first paragraph here. And we also read second paragraph here, which talked about um, how important the structure was at the time. And one of the things that we talked about was the difference in how they might have seen it back then to how we see it now. Um, so that's an important connection to make. Basically, history, right? And indeed, it says here we can see the building through the eyes of the past and perhaps have a chance to appreciate this most famous skyscraper as though it were new. All right, let's continue reading. The Empire State Building was built at the site of the famous Waldorf Astoria Hotel, a lavish structure that by 1929 was no longer up to the demands of the modern world. A corporation headed by former New York Governor Alfred E. Smith proposed to build an office building there, not just any office building, but the greatest in the world. At this time, there was fierce competition to see who could build the tallest building on the earth. The nearby Chrysler building was set to claim the title, but Smith and his company wanted to steal it from them by building something so big that it would be years before anyone could top it. Let me ask you, what one word stands out to you in this paragraph? And it's an adjective to describe a building.
Lavish.
Okay, lavish. That's a good word. Um, Competitive, we can say big. Um, but pretty good answer. There was just one little problem, the Great Depression. The stock market crashed at the end of 1929, destroying banks, emptying savings accounts, and leaving millions out of work. But the men behind the Empire State Building would not be stopped. They finished tearing down the old Waldorf Astoria by the beginning of 1930, and on March 17th, St. Patrick's Day, the work on the skyscraper began. Um, Time was an essential element, wrote Smith, to complete the greatest structural accomplishment the city had ever seen. Now, we can stop there for a second. Now, one of the things that you may wonder why I keep interrupting us, but it's one of the things that I actually like when I'm reading. And it's really increased my personal comprehension, my personal interest when I can process something here. And I want to look at our prediction. I believe I might have put it down in the open session document. Oh, I don't see it. All right. Well, I'm not going to waste time looking for it other than, let me see, prediction. All right, we're going to just, I think that you made a prediction that I can't remember, but I remember the prediction I made was that building it during the Great Depression increased um, even though it was a challenge, the fact that it was built during the Great Depression actually made it a stronger building. Um, Not just stronger, but their determination to build it, and therefore the kind of care and technology that they put into it was probably better because of the challenges that they faced. Okay, because height was of the utmost importance. Um, the building was designed from the top down. At the very top would be a dirigible mooring mast. A dirigible is a kind of giant blimp built to fly across the Atlantic Ocean in days before jets. Although now that may seem silly, at the time, dirigibles were cutting edge technology, and the mooring mast, according to Smith, was a logical development of this day of air transportation.
What
Moreover,
is what does dirigible mean?
well, it's a kind of giant blimp. So
Oh,
what I'd look, yeah, let's stop to figure this out. So I'm going to go to here to the
I've
ox.
never seen a blimp before.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I've heard about them in like games and everything, but I don't think it's the same as real life. Can I
Yeah.
see a picture?
Yeah, I'm gonna show us a picture for sure. Um, oh wow. Okay, so this is interesting. It means that it's capable of being directed or guided. So I'll show you a picture. Yeah, basically, it was a guided balloon, basically, and it looks like this. I'll show you. There it is. They used to fly blimps over the Candlestick Park where I used to watch the San Francisco Giants play baseball. Um, so I'm going to show you the Goodyear blimp. Um, yep, there's the Goodyear blimp right there. Um, yeah, there's a famous accident called the Hindenburg where a blimp kind of it burned up. Why is this not showing? What is going on here? Oh, here we go. Yeah, so it can be dangerous as well. Major air disaster there. Killed several people that were there. I think it blew up right after takeoff. So okay. And so you learned something new today, and you also learned that it was built to fly across the Atlantic. Um, and let's see here. Although now that may seem silly, at the time dirigibles were cutting edge technology, and the mooring mast, according to Smith, was the logical development of this day of air transportation. Moreover, the 200-foot mast would allow the building to solidly surpass the Chrysler building in height. So you know what a mast is?
Yeah, like how much it weighs.
No. Um, Close. You're talking about mass. A mast.
Oh, I thought you said mast, like on the pirate ships. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a mast. So you have a mast on
Oh, is it that big pointy thing?
yeah, that's what it
Yeah, I know
is.
what it is.
The mooring mast was planned to reach nearly 1,300 feet above Fifth Avenue. Below that was the building, as wide as the city block on the first floor, but narrower as it went up. The places where it got narrower are called setbacks, and they started at the sixth floor. A design the architect said will save space and assure light and air to neighbors. We believe we have solved the problem of light and air in congested districts, said Mr. Smith. Construction began on the bottom floors even before the designs of the top floors had been finalized. Once it started, it went fast. Times reporter C.G. Poor described the process as a chase up into the sky with the steel workers going first and all the other trades following madly after them. To illustrate this, Poor produced some staggering figures. So staggering um, to shock or stun. Okay. Staggering would be like a dollar figure that would leave you in shock. The building of the skyscraper represents an investment of $50 million, and all other figures are in proportion. More than 50,000 tons of steel, 10 million bricks, and 200,000 cubic feet of stone will be used before the frame is completed. There will be 75 miles of water mains and 2 million feet of electric light and power wiring. More than 3,000 men are daily at work. Among them are 225 carpenters, 290 bricklayers, 384 brick laborers, 328 arch laborers, 107 derrick men. So stop for a second, and I want you to just create a picture in your mind what this looks like. Like picture those men working and try to imagine what 3,000 men look like all on the city block before they get up there. And then 225 carpenters, 290 bricklayers. So woodworkers, bricklayers, brick laborers, roughly about 300 of each of those there. Okay. Each day, those men walked. So let me ask you a question. Let's read in between the lines here, because this is what good readers do. Why do you suppose this was an important development here? This many men at this time in history.
Uh, because it was hard to get all of that during the Great Depression.
Yes, and what else? How were these men or other men around them affected by the Great Depression?
They're getting more money, they have work, and it
Right.
helps them.
Yeah. So work is very scarce at this time, right? That's
Yeah.
something to think about. Each day, those men walked to work past long unemployment lines. And there we go, right? So picture those lines in your mind, which reminded them how lucky they were to have such well paying jobs. Building the Empire State Building was a dangerous job, performed without hard hats, harnesses, or any of the safety equipment required today. Imagine walking out on a narrow steel beam, 1,000 feet above the street, and then having to work up there all day. Um, if you want to see a picture of, there's a famous picture right there that you'll see. So basically, they had to walk across and they're just enjoying life. There's the
Do they just
Chrysler
sit
building.
there?
Yeah,
Oh, that must be scary.
yeah. And there are no safety nets there.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So interesting.
I would have at least been near the rope to hold it and everything.
Right. On each floor, Poor tells us there was a miniature railway system to haul the steel, wood, and marble brought up from street level. And to keep the men from having to go all the way down to eat lunch, there were restaurants at various levels of the building designed for the workers. At night, when the bosses went home, the workers could relax. They would pick a specific floor of the building and throw a party, laughing and having fun, knowing that they were higher above the city than any of the richest men in town. So, very fun for them, actually. The building was finished in just over a year. Of all the words written back afterwards, perhaps the most interesting come from Mrs. Alice Liddell Hargraves, an elderly Englishwoman who visited the tower soon after its completion 70 years earlier. Mrs. Hargreaves had known a quiet country pastor named Lewis Carroll, who used her as the inspiration for his most famous book, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Now much older than the character she inspired, Mrs. Hargreaves seemed almost as excited with her newest adventures in the Wonderland of New York. The Empire State Building, she said, was just like the tumble down rabbit hole. Now, this is interesting right here. I want to show you something. So that we can think of an analogy right here. Um, go to the session document. Okay. All right. So what do we have here? We're gonna clear the formatting. Empire State Building. Um,
Are we gonna take the
um,
quiz now?
yeah, Alice
Do
in
I have to
Wonderland.
answer this?
No, I'm just going to show you something real
Oh,
quick.
okay.
Alice in Wonderland was amazing to children just as. Is her name Alice? Yeah, it is Alice. Okay. Okay, so this is, as you know, this is an analogy here. And the relation is just as. And it's a relation of wonder. All right, so let's take this quiz. What is the step reads? I don't know what that is. Okay. Um, Now, if you want to, I think, yeah, we'll just do it like this. So go ahead and, so which of the following statements is true about the Empire State Building when it was built?
Uh, it was the first. It was the only building made out of steel.
Well, I want to ask this.
Wait, could you go
Um,
back to the passage real quick and let me
yeah,
like read it over myself first?
of course, of course. Um, you know what I'm
Because
going
I
to
can
do?
eliminate the first two. But it was the first. There were many buildings in New York, though.
Right, right. So it's not D. Well, I'm sorry. That's what you chose, but it's not C. Um, but let me give you a hint here. In the passage, didn't it seem like this was an incredible building? And here's the thing. Part of the reason why I went back to this right here, this analogy right here of how incredible it was to Mrs. Hargreaves, right?
Yeah, I think it's the.
Um,
I think I know my answer.
what would you say?
Could you go back to the questions?
Yeah,
It's B.
right. So here's a little trick. One of the things I was trying to give you a hint of as we read was how you and I see this Empire State Building today as not such a big deal. There was a whole point in why the author gave us historical data and talked about how the building was seen back then. And we must ask ourselves, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit. Give me a second. Uh, Cancel. I don't want to do that. Okay. Um, I want you to write this down if you have a piece of paper. And what I'm going to do, it's okay if you don't have a piece of paper. While you're doing that, I'm going to also write it down in our session document. And this is really going to help you um, to really understand what you read even more deeply. And so I'm gonna put it like this. Wait a minute, what's going on here? Okay, this thing is being silly. Okay, I'm gonna just make it kind of fast because I know we don't have a lot of time. Okay. Tools. 4 power questions. What does it say? Question mark. What does it not say? Question mark. How does it say it? Question mark. What does it mean? Question mark. All right, this is going to go in the chat also. All right, so the chat, I don't know if you can see it the way I do. Mine is kind of messed up and I don't know how to fix it. Um, all right, we'll get out of there. All right, so this is the question. Why did the author give us these details? I'm going to say that he gave those details to us because he wanted to make this seem like the tallest building in the world. Now, he might have written this passage without it being the most
He gave the
tallest
details to make it look like the best building, how much
building.
work and
Right,
effort it take.
right, exactly. Yeah, and I don't know what happened here. It's not being captured in the session document, and I don't know why it's not. Weird. Okay, I'm just going to go back to the chat. I don't want to waste too much time here on this particular thing, but I think that is an important point. Um, yeah, and it'll help you to eliminate sometimes a question answer choice that seems like it's really good. And it's like, what on earth do I select? And you'll go back to some of these questions and look at some of these details. All right, let's go to the next question. And the answer, of course, is B. The passage explains the sequence of events that led to the completion of the Empire State Building. According to the passage, what happened after construction was started on the Empire State Building?
Um,
Which can you eliminate for sure?
Number D.
You're gonna get rid of that one?
Oh wait, no, that's the design. Wait, my bad.
Okay. First of all, did the Great Depression
It's
start
C.
after it was built?
It's C.
Well, okay, let's go back to the passage. Passage. The Empire State Building was built at the site of the famous Waldorf Astoria Hotel, a lavish structure that by 1929 was no longer up to the demands of the modern world. They finished tearing down the old Waldorf Astoria at the beginning of 1930, and on March 17th, St. Patrick's Day, the work on the skyscraper began. All right. So it can't be C, right? Because the
Yeah.
word is after.
So
So did you understand that the Waldorf Astoria was it's where the Empire State Building is now? So they had to tear it down first,
yeah.
right?
So
So they couldn't begin construction until it was torn down. So What happened after construction? Well, the Waldorf was torn down before construction, right? So it can't be C. Do you
Mm,
see that?
yeah.
Okay.
So
What about the
maybe wait, when what could you show me when the Chrysler building, when was it completed?
Yeah. So remember in the passage was comparing the Chrysler building. Let me ask you this question. Do you remember how in the passage they were comparing the Chrysler building to the Empire in terms of how high they were?
Could you say that again?
Yeah. Do you remember in the passage they were comparing both the buildings in terms of how high,
Oh, yeah, so then it's
right?
not that one.
Right. Then it can't be that one because the article didn't really talk about the building of the Chrysler. It didn't say then the Chrysler was built or was built at the same time. Okay. So it's not that one. All right. So we know it's not C. It's not B.
And it's not,
What about the,
I think it's A.
okay. Well,
The Great Depression started.
oops. Right. So it's actually D.
Oh,
Okay. And do you know why we can eliminate the Great Depression? First of all, the Great Depression was happening. You may not know this. It started in 1929, and Empire was starting. They start to build in 1930. But if you think about, did you remember anything about how the Great Depression started from the article, or did the article talk about, hey, the Great Depression started after or during the building of the Empire State Building, right? It mentioned it, but it didn't say it started after. There was just one little problem, the Great Depression, right? So they wanted to build this building so big, right? And what was the main problem is the Great Depression. The stock market crashed at the end of 1929, destroying banks and doing these other things. But the behind the Empire State Building would not be stopped, right? Okay, so you see that now?
yeah,
All right, do you see that now?
yeah,
Can you hear me?
yeah,
Yeah, do you see why answer choice D is the right answer?
yeah.
Okay, all right. Um, do you want to go back to the passage on that one? You want to go to the next question?
We'll go to the next question.
Okay. Working on the Empire State Building was a dangerous job. Which evidence from the text best supports this conclusion? All right.
The man worked on narrow beams 1,000 feet above the street.
Okay, but be careful. Did you read the other answer choices?
Yeah, it's definitely not because they were paid, and I don't think it
Right.
was the restaurant and they don't throw a party.
Right. Yep. I think you're right. Okay, the Empire State Building was built during the Great Depression. Why might this have been a problem? Okay. Reeve, would it help you if I actually went through? Oh, actually, go ahead and try to answer this one. I have kind of like a plan. So go ahead and tell me what you think might be the answer.
I know it's not D because I'm pretty sure there was enough steel, but you just needed money to buy it. A. I think it's A.
Think it's A? Okay, here's what I'm going to do. Um, I'm going to give you my thinking process, and I think this will um, help you going forward. So, as I'm reading this question, the Empire State Building was built during the Great Depression. Okay, why might this have been a problem? So, we know what the Great Depression is. People are out of work, people want work, right? There's
Yeah.
long unemployment lines. So, I know that A cannot be true because there were more people without work than could find work, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Okay. B, it might have been more difficult to find a location to build the Empire State Building during the Great Depression. I don't think there's any correlation or relationship between location and the fact that during the Great Depression, you have people out of work and
Yeah.
people are begging for food.
I think it's
So
either
B
A
is,
or C.
yeah, C or D, right?
No, A or
Um,
C.
oh, A or C. Well, see, I don't think it can be A at all because if you go back to the passage, um,
I chose I chose C, but I
well,
thought it could be.
let's read this part right here. Each day those men walked to work past long unemployment lines, which reminded them how lucky they were to have such well-paying jobs. Now, if most people are unemployed and a few people have jobs, let's say all the steel workers, let's say they all died. Let's say they all fell. That would be terrible. But do you think that they could find more workers?
No, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, they could just go to those long unemployment lines and they would have people begging to work, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think that A is consistent with the Great Depression.
Yeah. I
Okay,
think it's
so
C.
think it's C.
Yeah.
Yeah, why do you think it's C?
And because money was a big issue in the Depression, so
Right. We don't know whether or not steel was available or not available. We're not told. It could possibly be. That's
yeah,
why
pretty
this is
sure
a
it
diff.
was. It's just that no one had the money to buy so much steel.
There you go. What is the passage mainly about? New York City, and good job there, by the
D.
way. Yeah, D. Yeah, I agree with that. Why did the author most likely include Mrs. Alice Liddell Hargreaves's quote about the Empire State Building in the passage? I think we kind of talked about this. So what do you think?
I think you wrote down something related to D, but it's not D, right?
You mean D is possible, but let's see.
I think it's
What
C.
other you think it's C?
Yeah,
Can you explain why you think it's C?
because maybe some people saw a negative view of the Empire State Building, and she was trying to give a new perspective so people could see the Empire State Building in a positive way.
Okay. I don't think, yeah, I think as I read the choices here to provide the perspective of someone who had seen when it was new, I think it has more to do, at least this answer choice, with how big it was,
Yeah,
not positive or negative. So I think um I think while what you said is intelligent, I don't think it's necessarily helpful in this particular answer choice. But let's read through all the answer choices. What did you think about A?
no,
Right, right. Because the whole point of talking about Alice and Alice in Wonderland and her was to show how impressive it was, right?
yeah,
So it'd be the opposite. So what about B?
no, no. I think Americans would probably be impressed. No,
Right, exactly. it seems kind of misleading to say that the English
Yeah.
weren't we weren't led to believe that. Um, and what do you think about D?
No, not.
Why not?
I mean, maybe, but I think C sticks out the most.
Yeah. Was it helpful when I told you that the point of C, as I saw it, was not in terms of positive or negative, but
Yeah.
small or big being impressive?
Yeah.
Okay. I think you're on the right track there. And really, what I think about in this particular question, because I know a little bit about Adventures in Wonderland, I think I want to show you this. Just like tumbling down the rabbit hole, um, seemed almost as excited. Oh, let's see. Oh, okay. I don't even know what this means. Just like tumbling down the rabbit hole. Rabbit hole, it seems like something that's endless. And I'm not too familiar with the book, but where are we? Where's this passage? Oh, yeah. Okay. Back to the question set, number 6. Um, all right, what's your final choice? Oh, by the way, Arif, I wanted to tell you why I don't think D as in David is the answer, because in my
Yeah, I
mind,
know it's not the answer.
okay, right.
It's
And
C.
and the reason, yeah, see, okay, let's get that. Yep. Good job. Good job. Choose the answer that best completes the sentence below. Even though there are taller buildings now, the Empire State Building blank lost the ability to amaze. So which choice? Talk to me about A, B, and C and D.
C.
Okay. Yeah, very good. What time period does most of the information in the article come from?
During the Great Depression.
Right. Ooh, you could have said also at the time at in the time at which the Empire State Building was built. Very good answer. And then each day those men walked to work past long unemployment lines, which reminded them how lucky they were to have such well-paying jobs. What conclusion about the Great Depression can you draw from this evidence?
There weren't many high paying jobs.
I would agree with that, but I think we can go even a step further.
That they would have jobs and not many other people had jobs.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's closer. Um, that few people had good jobs and many people were unemployed. So you captured both of those actually. When people did have jobs that were well paid, they felt lucky because of how rare those jobs were at the time. Yeah. Last question. The Empire State Building would have been impressive if it were built at any time. What about the time period in which it was built? Oh, what about the time period in which it was built made it even more impressive? Use information from the passage to support your answer. I want you to actually write this down in the chat. And I want you to, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to drop this in the chat and I'm going to let you go back to the passage for a couple minutes if you want. All right. And I want to see something. The Empire State Building would. What about the time period made it even more impressive? Okay. Let me know if you want me to go up or down, or if you want me to skip back to the question.
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. So, because it was built in the great, lots of workers were needed, and financially it was very impressive to afford such, because that was probably like a lot of money.
Yes. Anything else?
No.
Okay. Was built during the Great Depression when people were jobless and most likely hopeless. Thus, it was all the more impressive because it could provide a lot of jobs and represent a large investment of money at a time when that was rare. Students may also explain that the State Building was built in 1930 before there were taller buildings like One World Trade Center. Thus, the fact that it became the tallest building on Earth made it all the more remarkable. Right, right. So in other words, the time period itself, regardless of whether or not it was the Great Depression. Okay. Um, what is the ebook? Oh, we could have read the ebook like this, but it's no different than what we already read. Um, oh, that's kind of nice. That would have been nice. Just want to see some of the pictures there, and you can see kind of this the staggering or the I forgot what they called spires. The governor. Okay. Yeah, there's your visualization of this. And you know what, Arif, I want to point out something here. I have a friend who wrote a book on reading comprehension, and one of the things that she taught me when I was teaching second grade is to teach students to really become visual and to put pictures in their mind. You know, what comes to your mind when you see this picture that adds to your understanding of why the author wrote might have been motivated to write this particular article? Think about COVID. Think about how people felt in COVID. How did people feel at this time? So I want you to kind of think about what does this picture, seeing this picture here, what does it do to increase or deepen my understanding of what I just read?
To show that people didn't have jobs and they needed them.
That's certainly true. We see the free soup sign, right? So people needed to eat.
Yeah, they were
Um,
desperate.
Desperate. Why do you say desperate?
Mm. Because they couldn't work or earn anything, so they needed it to support their families.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, all that tells you that. Now just look at the picture itself. Look at the faces. Look at the color of the picture. Talk to me about what you notice. What do they feel? They feel a sense of blank
Uh, of gratefulness.
and gratefulness.
Yeah.
Well, I think the opposite. I think they're very grateful for any amount of food that they can get, any job that they can get.
Yeah, that's what I
But
said. Grateful.
well,
Grateful.
they're grateful. I thought you said ungratefulness. Sorry.
No.
Yeah, I got you. Um, Hopelessness also. They didn't have a lot of hope for the future, right? Look at the color of the picture is very, I know these are all black and whites anyway, but still we can take a lot from that. And even the kids. So what I learned from this is that this building of this Empire State Building was not just amazing as a engineering feat, as a wonder of the world, something that hadn't been done before, but it gave people a little bit of hope if they saw this. It certainly gave the men who worked there some hope, and it was impressive. Now, I'm sure some of them might have felt like, why are they building that when they should take the money and feed us? Certainly, they might have felt that way, but that's what I think being visual can really help us with to really see this. Um, okay, enough about that. And then there you can see the
Because height was of the utmost.
oh, okay, I see. Got some birds there. Great. We saw the picture already. Yeah, quite a juxtaposition between how dark and dirty that work was, and at the same time how high and they were, and how grateful and lucky they were. So interesting. The irony here is these guys were like the top of the society at that point. They're luckiest people, other than the people, of course, that were very rich. But of course, they lost a lot too, the people that were rich. Okay. Very tiring work. Alice in Wonderland. Okay. Let's talk now about your schoolwork and what's going on with that. Let me see.
There's no school things yet, but I'm pretty sure next class I'll have something for us to do.
Okay. Um, I'm gonna show you ReadWorks here. Let me see if there's anything else that I missed. I'm gonna look at this reading mindset snapshot. It's supposed to help. Let me see here. ReadWorks. I don't know why it's not giving me that. Oh, this right here. So I'm going to be investigating this a little bit. Get to know your students as readers and watch them grow. The Mindset Snapshot is a survey style inventory designed to track students' joy in reading, topics they're interested in. Knowing this information gives teachers the tools they need to help students read and comprehend challenging texts, choose texts for independent reading. I'm not sure. This might be a waste of time, but it can also be something that might um, help you. So I'm gonna be looking at that a little bit. Um, but you also have the reading recommendations
Yeah.
and where are the reading recommendations? Right here. Okay, let me share my screen. I know we have like a couple quick minutes. Okay, a book that I've heard a lot of good things about is The Giver. Um, Now Fahrenheit 451 is science fiction, and it's well known. It's a very famous book, if you haven't heard of it already. It's written by Ray Bradbury, uh, an incredible science fiction writer. Animal Farm by George Orwell, you probably will read in high school. Um, it really does talk about the future and talk about society and how different governments, like socialism and communism, where it's an allegory story for different political systems. And there's a famous quote in that book which says, all people are equal, but some people are more equal than others. So it's kind of the way that the powerful people kind of suppress the regular people and said, well, they're not as important. They're important, but not as important. So they use that as a pretext to imprison them. Um, of Mice and Men is a pretty sad story, but very sweet, and it's about a mentally ill young man and his friend. So it's very you learn a lot about people in these books. To Kill a Mockingbird is about racial justice. It was made into a film, so it's a very famous book. The Outsiders is very action packed. It's about um, teenage boys and the way that they are. Um, which of these seems like it would be the most interesting one for you? By the way, I hear a lot of great things about The Giver.
Maybe the Fahrenheit.
Fahrenheit 451.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's about censorship. You know what 451 is?
No.
Fahrenheit 451 is the temperature at which books burn.
Oh.
So basically, it's a society where they didn't want people to be educated, and so they would burn books. Now,
Oh.
I don't know for sure they burn books within the story because I haven't read Fahrenheit 451, but we came close to it when I taught in the charter school. So um, these are all going to be very deep books that are really going to strengthen your reasoning powers. And like I said, I'm going to end with this real fast. So remember, these are the questions that are really going to help you, especially when you read difficult text. What does it say? Who, what, when, why, where? What does it not say? What are the assumptions, in other words, that it's making? So today's article, like we finished, what did it not say? We could say a lot of things. We could say, um, and I think it goes back to my prediction. Building a skyscraper of this sort in a period like the Great Depression makes it stand out even taller. And forever, it will be revered as a building that is a testament to New York's grit and their resilience as New Yorkers at that time, right? So that's what it does not say. And sometimes what it does not say is more important than what it says. We have to make inferences on that. How does it say it? Well, we talked about that too at the end when we talked about Alice in Wonderland, right? It ends with the quote. It ends with not just a quote, but talking about a book that is known for how wonderful it is and wonder awestruck it is. Think about the eight wonders of the world are the most incredible things like the Golden Gate Bridge, things like how did they build that, like the Great Pyramids. That word wonder and wonderful are kind of different, but I think for this article, they're pretty set. They go hand in hand, if that makes sense. And what does it mean? And I think you did a good job of all this, but I think you have to have those first three questions to get at that final question. What does it all mean? Because if I were to ask you at the beginning, as soon as you finish the article, what does it mean? You'd get a very different answer. But now that you've gone through these steps, you can say more intelligent things about it, can't you? Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll help your writing too.